I've gotten some requests to make a sticker that says I'm always the hottest girl at the craft store. That's a saying that I put on the back of these newspapers that I made for Snail Mail Girl, and I love that idea. I'm thinking it's not enough to just like design a sticker and print it. I want to DIY something, scan it, use like textile scraps and stuff, and then turn it into a little custom shaped sticker. So these are going to be going out in the Q1 issue Snail Mail Girl pack. So it's going to have like the Q1 issue of the magazine. It's going to have some of these stickers. My plan for the stickers was to make little rosette ribbons. I think they're super cute. It's something that we made at the Material Girls World launch party, and I just think they'd make an adorable sticker, and I've been like obsessed with the rosette ribbon as an object since. I'm thinking let's put them together and make it like prize ribbons, and you're getting different prizes. So like one of them would be being the hottest girl at the craft store. I have these leftover buttons that were used to make the rosettes at the Material Girls World party. I also have leftover ribbons that were used for that craft, so I'm going to get my hot glue guns, attach some ribbons all around it, and then scan what the button looks like with the lace around it and hanging down from it. I also have my bag of fabric scraps here, so I think I'm going to find some patterns that I like, cut circles that are the size of this button so that I can cover up the top of it, and that will be a cute background for rosette as well. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to like actually attach it and scan it, or just like take a picture of the fabric and insert it via InDesign, like just with a circle. We'll see what looks best. Maybe I'll try it both ways. And then final step, I have my iPad, and I'm going to write out my little pink bubble letters. I do handwrite it out every time. I've never like sat down to turn it into a font. That probably would save me a lot of time, and I should do it eventually, but I don't know, I kind of like the practice of like sitting down and doing it every time, and they always look somewhat like unique then, because even though it's kind of the same font and I do the letters the same way, they just look slightly different. So anyway, I think for these little crafty sayings that would be quite cute, and then I will drag those via graphic design onto the scans of the rosettes that I make and turn them into custom shaped stickers. Okay, I'm joining the club. I'm making a scoodie. This has been on my list because basically all throughout 2024, I was watching Paula make a ton of these in super cool color schemes. So when the pattern came out, I was like, obviously need to make one myself. I started at Material Girls Club on Saturday morning, and actually not the only person who is making a scoodie at Material Girls Club, which I thought was so cute, like that this is just a pattern that everyone's excited about right now. Super fast. I had pretty much all the pieces done by the end of the weekend, and this is what it's looking like now. Okay, so a few things to know. Obviously we have some work to do here. I have not woven in any ends at all, but I like my little pink and red color scheme going on. It was actually very fun. This is my first like kind of granny square. I know it's not exactly granny square, but like granny square-esque project. And I see why people like, you know, it's very relaxing to just go around and around, and it seems so satisfying. So I had fun making these big panels. Totally messed up this middle piece at Material Girls Club. I've gone back to fix it, so it should look all fine now, but I totally missed some parts because I was just like distracted chatting, and yeah, hadn't really like followed a pattern that was like a granny square before, but I think I've got it now. Curious if anyone like notices this, or if it's just because obviously I look at it much more closely than probably anyone else is. I've got multiple colors of pink going on here on both sides. I tried to make it at least the same on both sides because I'm using scrap yarn from the studio, and I just didn't have enough to do it completely one color. So I was like, from the beginning, let's just like try to make it look intentional. And I feel like they're close enough that it's not egregious. On the bottom scarf bit here is where I really started losing stuff. So again, I knew I didn't have enough of this pink color. So from the beginning, I was like, I'm gonna have to incorporate my other one as well. And I tried to put it right in the middle so that the two ends of the scarf are still that light pink. And hopefully from the front, you don't really see it. However, this is much thinner than it's supposed to be because I don't have enough pink yarn to do another row. This is like half the width of what it's supposed to be. So I think what I'm going to do is attach, this is the foundation double chain. I'm going to attach it to the hood this way, I think, actually. See how it looks, because I don't know, skinny scarves are kind of in. Maybe I like it, just a little skinny scarf at the front, or I tie it in a bow or something. Then I can keep building off of this bottom part here to make it a bit thicker. That might involve buying more yarn, which I didn't want to do. I wanted this to be like a way to get rid of some of the scraps that I had left. I'm going to the studio today, so I'm going to see if I can't dig around a bit and find some more pink scraps, hopefully from the same skeins here, so I can keep this kind of like only these two kinds of pinks. I don't really want to introduce like a whole new one right now. Otherwise, I do know where I got these pinks, so I guess I could get another skein of one or both of them to finish it off. And if they're slightly different dye lots, hopefully you wouldn't notice because they're on separate rows. I don't know. This doesn't even feel like yarn chicken because it's just like I totally don't have enough to finish the piece here. But I do think it's looking very cute, and I'm very proud of my innovation, trying some different things here to like make this yarn stretch, and excited to get it together and see what it's looking like. So hopefully I have a finished one to show you in a few seconds. In the studio today, and my bay back there is a bit of a mess, but some things I have to show you. Finished scoodie. I actually haven't tried it on yet, and I don't really have like good hair in it for it, so I'm afraid the shape is gonna be weird, but let's see. Cute. I just literally finished the scalloped edge, and I think it adds so much. I also like when people just tie them in the front like this. So that'll be fun. I'll have to try it on with like different coats and see what it looks like, but I definitely like my color scheme. I did have to get a bit creative with some more colors when I went to find more yarn to finish things off. There's like a few different things happening here. So I found enough pink to make a whole new pink row on the scarf, and some of it was the same color pink that I had been using. So I did kind of the same thing that I mentioned before with making the ends that color, and then the middle a completely different color of pink, but you didn't notice when I tried it on because the ends are the same. Then I thought I had enough red altogether, and I didn't, but luckily I had brought some scraps of like a kind of close red back with me just in case that happened. So I had to do the same thing where I have one red going here and then it changes into this one. This one is quite slight. Can you see where it happens? It is a very similar red. However, even that wasn't enough. Like I didn't have enough scraps left, so I had to frog things back a bit and make a few places where I only do 2 double crochets instead of 3, so the clusters are a bit thinner just because I like had to get through less yarn. But hey, we made it work. The scarf is full length. I'm happy with the size of it all. Got a little creative, but I think it will be hardly noticeable. Very fun pattern though. I keep seeing people with like different color schemes, and it makes me want to make another one because especially these big parts were so fun to just like make. I made them really fast. And now Grace knows all about the scoodie too. Like people were talking about it at Material Girls Club, and she was like, wow, this pattern has really gone far. Like, you know, scoodie isn't a word. Like, why does everyone know what this is? But it's the power of a good crochet pattern. Just as I was finishing this, she texted me too, and she was like out and about in the neighborhood, and she was like, oh my god, just saw scoodie in the wild. So we're all on the lookout for scoodies now. Next thing I have to show you is a Material Girls pattern. So I'm finishing up the samples for the next issue of the magazine, which is coming out the second weekend of February, so look out for that. But I'm in today kind of making the last samples of the knitting crochet sewing patterns that are going to be filmed and photographed in the magazine, blah blah blah. So this is the sewing pattern. It's a little placemat, very simple patchworking on the front, and I really like how I did a gingham with a floral here. I think that like contrast looks nice, and obviously different pinks going on. The back is just one fabric, nothing special, and then a bit of frill all around it. So I think this is super cute. I really like this fabric combo, but unfortunately I only have enough to make this one. Like I can't make a set out of them. So now that I've made the ones that I need to make to like test and put together the pattern, it'll be time to think of like what fun ones I want to actually make to use, because I think you can't go wrong with a little checkerboard pattern. This was like super easy to make, but it was a great little DIY addition to a table you're making, I guess. So on another note, I just used a piece of fabric that I gathered up to make the frills around the edges, but I want to make some more where I use actual like lace or ribbons or something on the edge. So every time I make a Material Girls pattern, I feel like because they're so like meant to be quick, I get this momentum to be like, oh, and then I could make it like this so fast. I just feel like I want to try all the different options, but this is the one you will see in the magazine soon. Reading Poor Artist by Zarina Muhammad and Gabrielle de la Puente. They are a pair of art critics called The White Pube, like that's the name of their platform. Link their Instagram down below. They put reviews out weekly and have been known for years now as being just a really cool, intelligent pair that's challenging a lot of what's considered normal in the art world. This is their first book, so I was super excited to pick it up, and I want to quickly take a minute for the book design because I love it. It's a hardcover, and when you take the sleeve off, it has this beautiful picture on the front as well, so I've just been enjoying that. Now onto the writing. I really liked it. I think it was a super creative approach to this topic. They talk a lot about what it's like to be an artist under capitalism, the challenges and struggles that artists today face with trying to make creative work that's challenging and important and meaningful, while also trying to navigate the art world, which is a lot about networking, who you know, how much money you have, creating stuff that is both unique and also sellable. And why I think the approach and like structure and writing style of the book is so unique and interesting was because it's not a novel and it's not a nonfiction book, but they have interviewed different artists, and some of it reads kind of like memoir-ish. They weave it all through this like narrative storytelling of this artist named Quest. We see Quest grow up and have an interest in art as a young kid, go to art school, and then enter the art world and try to figure out how to navigate all of that. So it's all very truthful and honest, and you watch it from the perspective of this character who's entering every situation with just like bright eyes and just excited to explore things, and very quickly realizes some heart's truths that being in the art world isn't just about like being creative and making things. It's not a novel. You're not really watching like a whole story play out. It's more like vignettes throughout the life and creative exploration of this character. Their writing style together is also pretty like funny and irreverent, and so there are just parts that kind of make you smile because it's cheeky and they kind of explain these things about the art world in very plain, honest terms. It's also very educational though, and I appreciate how like accessibly they explained a lot of different art terms. Like you don't have to know anything about the art world in order to read this. You'll probably learn a lot about it, and in a very honest way. They explain how art school works and how critiques work and how gallery representation works, just all these things that I feel like a lot of times you're expected to just have figured out somewhere, and they explain them, but again in kind of like a tongue-in-cheek part of the story kind of way. They also reference a lot of artists and art pieces and explain what happened in those pieces. They packed with wisdom. There are a lot of really beautiful poetic lines in there about how to approach art and just have like this wholehearted creativity. I really appreciated that, and it certainly made me feel less alone as someone who is also trying to like work in the art world. This didn't necessarily fix those problems for me, but it certainly made me feel less alone, and I appreciate hearing from two really smart artists and critics who are from my generation, who are in the same city, who are talking about these issues. They had a lot of knowledge and interesting takes to share. So I'll link this in my bookshop if you want to check it out. As usual, make sure to subscribe so you can be here for the next vlog, and I'll see you then.